Hello and thanks for clicking on this video. Okay, on one hand, I'm honestly too tired to be doing this, and I probably shouldn't be doing this right now. On the other hand, I'm so excited and want to do it! So I want to try, at least, to do this. This video is going to be longer, just like with the Super Sentai. I could say way more about the Kamen Riders than I can about the Super Sentai, and I could have actually said more about Super Sentais, but I was trying to keep it short. The Kamen Riders, I'm going to try to keep it short because I could definitely go on longer, because I have definitely seen most of these at least twice, if not 3 times. I don't think I've seen any of them 4 times. But I think there's still some of them that I only saw once. So, especially the old ones. Now this is going to be really interesting and really fun, because this is the one definitively that I told you that some of my opinions drastically changed the second time that I watched it. Why? Why did they? Okay, let's see what I can remember here. Starting from the year 2000 and going all the way up until the year 2021. And I'm going to cheat when I get 2021 to 2021, because I did talk about this one 2022. I watched it in 2022. So after it finished coming out, I watched it in 2022. So it's in my wrap-up video, but I'm skipping way ahead. That's 2021. That's supposed to be the end of the video. I need to start at the beginning of this. The beginning of this is 2000. Here again, I don't have a record for it. I do not have a clue what order I watched these in. I legit don't have a clue, aside from the fact that Dunno was one of the first one. Dunno and Kiva and Double and O's. Those were some of the first ones that we ever watched. I don't remember what order though. They're much simpler names than the Sentai. It's literally Kamen Rider Kuuga. What do I remember about that one? Not a whole lot. That one, it was weird because it's the only one that I know of where there was only one Kamen Rider. Throughout the entire thing, his backup remained the police guy that did not transform. Ever. I'm positive he never does. He remains a human being throughout the entire thing, like human being without any kind of outfit to protect him, which made him extremely brave in many places where he just jumped in there and did stuff in order to back up Kuuga when he himself did not have the armor that he needed. So he put himself in danger many times over as the policeman and trying to protect Kuuga, who is not a policeman, and all this duty kind of stuff and all the rest of that kind of stuff, and they became really good friends. I do also remember, for some reason, I don't know why, maybe I'm just like, I don't know, but for some reason it felt like there was a slight awkwardness to their friendship. Those two, like there was maybe a hint of something potential, or I don't know if I'm just going crazy and seeing things that weren't there, but it was just slightly odd in a few places. I was like, anyway. But from what I remember, I really liked Kuuga. And yeah, there was something, it felt like it was a little bit slower and a little bit draggy because there was only one of them. But at the same time, it definitively kept the character count down. And he was cute. He was always constantly smiling. And he was cute. And there were so many times where everybody thought that he was dead, or he did nearly die, or whatever in that one. It was crazy. It was one of the ones that, like, most of these, up to a certain point, I would not call them kids shows. Not kids shows. Kuuga, I don't remember if it was one of the really bad ones or just one of the kind of like, no, you have to be at least 13. Some of these ones definitively more like 15, 16, especially some of these earlier ones. They are not for kids. Like, no. But I don't remember exactly for sure which ones. I'm just pretty sure it was the first like 5 or 6 of them here. So that's all I really remember about Kuuga. Agito is very similar to Kuuga. They have the same type of belt and the same type of kind of way of transforming, and the same type of thing is happening. There was more Kamen Riders in this one. I don't remember how many. And here again is also, like I say, a liar. I feel like the later ones are cheating because they keep bringing in more than only 2 or 3 Kamen Riders. However, no, okay, some of these original earlier ones had more than just 1 or 2 Kamen Riders, and then they kind of went into less Kamen Riders, and then they brought in like cascades of them. So anyway, you make up your mind. I would have to look these up, and I don't really want to spend enough time to look them up to see for sure. This is just going from what I remember. Agito, from what I remember, I think it was Agito, that like the main Kamen Rider guy, he was really cute and like really sweet, and like I think it was him that comes back in one of the other ones, and I was like super happy to see him and all the rest of this stuff. There was something like it's not a kid's one. This is definitively one of the ones that is definitely not a kid's one. It is like more like 16 years old if you're gonna watch it, because there's something about it that's just in your core where you're like, ooh, this is slightly disturbing. There's a disturbing factor about it. There really is. That's what I remember best about it. And I'm trying to remember if it's that one. I think it had to do with the secondary Kamen Rider was one of the main things. Like, what was happening with him. So, yeah. And that's all I really remember about Agito. And then there's Ryuuki, which is also one. I think parts of it were less disturbing than other parts. And Ryuuki actually had a lot of Kamen Riders because it was like they all ended up like, it was like they were having this weird competition thing. Somebody was pitting them all against each other, where it's like there's the bad guys that they're supposed to be fighting, but at the same time they're competing against each other, so they quite regularly turn on each other and fight each other instead of or alongside the monsters. And like the main guy in Ryuuki, I really liked him. There's actually two. It's really funny. The one of them, and I'll put up pictures because I'm not taking the time to go and try to remember what their names are or whatever. This guy is the one that is the main Kamen Rider of this drama, and yet this guy, okay, this is a major spoiler, in the end of this drama, it's not the main character that saves everybody. Shock! That is really weird. The secondary Kamen Riders, they always play major roles, and the main one wouldn't be able to do it without them, but like, the main Kamen Rider is the hero in the story. Sometimes, as you see, a little too much so. But in this one, the main Kamen Rider dies. And it's the other guy that literally saves everybody. Shock! Wow. That is the only one that's like that. Wow. And that's all I remember about that one. It's another one that, like, all of these ones, they were like, really, whoa, stories back in the day. They were less flashy. They were much more subdued colors, and the stories themselves felt more subdued. They were much more grounded in reality somehow, even though they were out there. So that's Ryuuki. And then we get into Faiz. It's called Faiz, but it's also, like, literally 555. Fives. Okay, and Faiz is the first one on this list that I know I've seen at least twice. I don't actually remember for sure if I actually watched the entire thing twice, or if it was just, I watched the whole thing once and then I sort of kind of skipped through or watched part of it the second time. I think I've seen the whole thing twice. I definitely need to watch it again. But this one is the first one that I can tell you, because the other ones, I don't think I've seen them twice. I think all three of those first ones I've only seen once. The point is, this one, my opinion of it did shift, at least a little bit, from the first to the second time that I saw it. Because, okay, Takumi. This is a guy that's named Takumi. I'm positive his name is Takumi. Because I absolutely adore this character. He is one of my ultimate favorites all across the Kamen Riders, and very potentially, like, you could throw in double the amount of Kamen Riders, and still, he's one of my top 5 favorite characters. There is something about him, very specifically him, this character. He's so cute. He is so cool. I could gush about him for hours. Like, oh, this guy. I love this guy. And it's kind of sort of a different kind. There's something even more, like, legit massive crush on this guy that's slightly different from AG and Captain Marvelous. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like legit massive crush on Takumi, okay? Even though he's a character. Whew. Okay. Now, and I think that is probably one of the biggest reasons why my opinion of this shifted a little bit, because Faiz was one of my favorite Kamen Riders. I'm not sure if it is anymore, because it's really difficult. I absolutely adore Takumi, and I kind of like the girl, And I kind of like some of the other characters, but at the same time, some of the characters were kind of annoying. Like, most of the time, they're kind of irritating. And then there's also, like, I mean, there was quite a few characters in this one. And this is one of the ones, potentially the top one, where the belt changes hand so many times. Like, there's so many Kamen Riders because they keep passing the belt off to somebody else. There are so many random people using these belts in this one. I can't remember if even Takumi used more than one belt. But, like, it's just, it bounces back and forth all over the place between who has what belt and what is going on. The biggest problem with Faiz, it's one of the only ones, I think, where one of the bad guys is one of the main characters. So it's one of the ones where it's set up where you're looking at these guys and you're looking at these guys. You're looking at both sides and the impact that this battle has on both sides. Because it's one of those things, like, the main guy over there, he's one of the ones where my opinion shifted a little. Because on one hand, I totally get it and I understand it and I have deep sympathy for him. Like, the first time around, I think when he killed someone, it was like an accident. It did kind of take over and it was out of control and he didn't mean to do that. But, like, the thing is, the two people that he's covering for, I get where he's coming from. Where, like, why is it that once we turn into this automatically has to mean we're a bad guy and there's absolutely no way to save us? And can't there be some of us that can still be good? Can't we fight against this and be good people still and all the rest of this stuff? Is there no way to save us from just being evil people that now must be killed? And I'm like, I get that. And let's have this discussion, and I'm glad that that's part of it, but at the same time, he does end up going too far. He's protecting the wrong people, and he's protecting them for too long, and all of the rest of this kind of stuff, it starts getting really annoying, and you're like, and it's also like, I'm gonna do something, but he never does, except that it just keeps getting worse, and it's like, dude, this is one of the ones where, like, Takumi's background, when you find out what's actually, like, the full story of his full story, it's like, a lot of the Kamen Riders have at least one character, some of them more so than others. You're like, and Takumi is one of them, where you're like, when you find out all about, like, what's going on with him. And then, because you find that out about him, I swear, it makes him even cooler. It explains so much about him. And it also makes him even more epic. When you find this out about him, you're just like, oh, Takumi. Okay, bad girl. Anyway. So Faiz was really super ridiculously over the top, irritatingly maddening and frustrating. And there's many places where I'm like, I just want to skip it because, like, some of the bad guys at that side of it, you're like, you just get so sick of them. Give me sympathy. Give me all the sympathy. Just give me sympathy. Just give me... And I'm like, you don't deserve any of the sympathy anymore. You are bringing this on yourself by this point. You have chosen this path. By this point, you have chosen it. You are doing it. Stop being protected. Like, ugh, makes me so mad, but I absolutely adore Takumi. So there you go. That's Faiz. Then moving on to Blade, Kamen Rider Blade. This is from the year 2004. This is one, my opinion of it completely changed. Because when I first watched this one, I absolutely hated it. I thought it was one of the stupidest, one of the worst. I don't remember exactly all about what was going on with this one. I think this is one of the ones. I think it was this one that was based on, like, a set of cards. So there's, like, the ace and there's the king and there's the king and the queen and the ace and the jokers and all the rest of this kind of stuff. That's what Blade is. Looking at all the names, it's got to be that one that is that one. And when I first watched it, there was something about it. It was legit one of the worst stories. It was one of the worst Kamen Riders. I did not like it at all. I hate it. I was so mad at it. I was disgusted by it. I didn't like it at all. And then I watched it a second time. And the second time through, I realized there's a problem. I hated all of this. This was the worst. It was disgustingly, stupidly black. Absolutely hated it. And then there's this. There's the main character guy, and I don't remember exactly who was related to it. There was this part of the story that was centered around him and what was going on in him. It's actually one of the best ones. That main character guy is potentially one of my top favorite I don't know if it would be top 10, maybe top 15. I think this is the impression from what I'm remembering, because I remember going from absolutely hating it to realize that it's only this part of it that I absolutely hated, and this part of it was actually really, really good. And there's a massive spoiler. This part of it comes back in Zio, and I'm just like crying and screaming over the fact that it came back into it and what they did with it in Zio. That's a spoiler there, but at the same time, not so much. It gives you hope. Just go for it. Just, if you're gonna watch Blade, make sure that you can find the episodes in Zio where they appear again, because that you need it. You need it. Okay? You need it. And that's what I remember about Blade. I don't remember a whole lot about it, aside from the fact that it's the cards. It's them that, like, they escaped. I think that's what it was. They escaped. So Blade and all of them, they have to hunt them down and seal them back up and all of that stuff. So the main guy, I don't remember anybody's name in this one. Nobody's name. Hibiki. Hibiki is one of the ones that I really want to watch again. And I tried to watch it again. But I am legit telling you, I'm not making this up. Even the second time around about it, I checked it. And I confirmed. Hibiki is weird. Because Hibiki, for the first half of it, there's literally the first half of it and the second half of it. The first half of it, the way they filmed it, the lighting, the effects that they used, the angles that they used, the sounds that they used, the colors, everything about it was so creepy and eerie and under your skin, shivers, and it's just like, can I even keep watching this thing? What are they doing? And then you reach the second half of it and most of that goes away. I don't know if there was an actual turnaround in the story. I don't think it was a turnaround in the story. It's just like the people that were making it suddenly up and decided this is too much. Maybe the fans were out crying about it. I don't know what it was, but it just feels like their opinion changed. They just decided from filming it this way, just all of a sudden decided to film it this way instead. Just throw away most of that and film it this way instead. And I'm like, thank you? That took way too long. But why did you do that in the middle of your drama? That was really weird. Really weird. Very, very weird. Really weird. But that's what they did. I'm not making it up. Go look. Go watch it for yourself and you see. Hibiki is one of the ones that has the most Kamen Riders in it. But at the same time, they justified it and they did it. It was one of the best ones because my impression from what I remember, I think I only saw this one and a half times. I'm positive. I think it was the second time that I was watching and I didn't get to finish it. I didn't make it all the way through. Because I'm like, yeah, I have a good impression of it. I really liked Hibiki. It was one of the ones that I appreciated quite a lot because the teamwork in this one was epic. They were a team and they functioned like a proper team and it was so well done. I loved it. The communication and the network of teamwork was so good. It was really, really good. And the characters were really strong and really well done. It was the relationships and everything. I loved it for that. I think the main reason why I couldn't get through it the second time was because of that weird way they filmed it. But the weird thing is, I think it was almost to the part where they stopped doing that when I dropped it. The other thing I remember about Hibiki is that one of the characters, and I don't have a clue who he is in Hibiki. I do not remember who he is in Hibiki, but one of the actors that plays in Hibiki makes a reappearance. Is it 2 characters or 3 characters? Within Kamen Riders, the same actor appears as a different character in a different Kamen Rider. Anyway, that was Hibiki. So, now, moving on to Kamen Rider Kabuto, which came out in the year 2006. And Kabuto is another one that, just like with Hibiki, it's like a network. And just like with the Blade, actually, all 3 of them are like a company, basically, that's running this organization where there's a whole bunch of Kamen Riders that are working for them, basically. Except Kabuto, there's a bunch of them that are working for that company, and then there's some of them that are not working for that company, and that causes problems. Because the company doesn't want any Kamen Riders going around doing anything that are not working for them. So they fight against each other. And Kabuto, I'm pretty sure I've only seen it once, and the reason I haven't watched it a second time is because I didn't like it. Because the main character is played by one of my favorite actors, Hiro. I don't remember his last name or how to say it at the moment. I always forget his last name for some reason. It's me something. But his first name is Hiro. I always remember that. Hiro played the main character in this one. And I don't like his character at all. He is so flippin' arrogant. Like, so arrogant. And it's not really just show. Maybe part of it is just show, but a whole lot of it is like he legit believes this. And it's like, blame his grandmother because his grandmother is the one that implanted it in him. For one thing, that means that, like, she is seriously disturbed and she should be like, I don't know how, but she deserves to be punished somehow. She desperately needs to be punished somehow for implanting something that disgusting in him. How dare she? Oh my gosh. And for another thing, he's a grown adult now. You can't blame his grandmother for implanting this in him by now. He knows better by now. He's an adult. Figure this out, you disgusting person, you. He is so arrogant. I hate him. And on top of being so arrogant, he is insanely hypocritical. You massive jerk. I don't like him in the slightest. I think he smartened up a little by the end of the drama. He smartened up a little thanks to that secondary Kamen Rider guy that, like, somehow managed to become friends with him. But every time I think of Kabuto, I'm like, I want to rewatch, but I can't. And that's all I remember about that one. There was one character for sure dies in this one, and it is so sad and not fair. Okay, I got seriously interrupted again. This is a recurring theme. Anyway. I don't know if I said everything I meant to say about Kabuto or not, but after I stopped the video, I did think of one other thing that, did I remember it or did something jog my memory? Anyway, I randomly remembered something that is a major spoiler, but another problem I have with Kabuto, this is a major spoiler. The enemies that they are fighting are called worm. They're like aliens from another planet or something. I don't remember. Either way, I do remember they're called worms. And I remember that the ability they have is to mimic human beings. They basically take the place of human beings. And this is something, if you know anything about me, I don't know how often I've referred to it on my channel, maybe only a couple of times, so maybe you don't know. But either way, I have a thing about things pretending to be people, like taking the place of people and everybody around them, acting like they're the same person. I have a major issue with this, okay? Like, in Kabuto, it's like, this is the major spoiler part of it. His sister is actually a worm. I don't remember if his real sister was killed so long ago that this worm basically grew up being his sister, or if it was a little more recently, like within the last few years or something, that his sister was killed and this worm took the place of it. If the vast majority of this time, the worm has been his sister, so this is who he knows as his sister, okay, fine, we'll take that. But if it was more recently, and this worm literally, like, killed and took the place of his real sister way more recently, so he has memories definitively of the real person, as well as memories since then of the worm, this is not okay. It makes me so mad. So mad. I cannot do it when anything presents a fake, like as if it's the real, and I'm supposed to be okay with this. This is not okay. It is not okay. I cannot do it. End of story, period, ever, no matter what. It is not okay. And I know this is because I lost my older brother, and I am telling you, if anything under the sun, if it was a clone, if it was an AI machine, if it was some kind of alien mass, if it was some kind of alien worm, I don't care what it is, if something came in here and claimed to be my brother, if they looked exactly like him, if they had a whole bunch of his memories and they claimed to be my brother, I would have two words for you. Get out. That is not my real brother. Get out. So that is a problem I have with Kabuto. Because I'm pretty sure that his sister was actually, I think it was more recently that she was replaced by this thing, and he treats it like as if that is still my sister, and that is the whole thing. I'm going to protect her no matter what the cost is. I'm going to protect her. And I'm like, that is not your sister. That's a worm. That's not the real. That's a fake. This is not cool. You are mentally disturbed on so many levels. But there's a fiery little something for you. I don't know. That's a very strong opinion of mine. Moving on to the next one of my favorites of the Kamen Riders. Although the weird thing is, it's a favorite, but that's partially like a nostalgia of one of the very first ones that makes it a favorite, I think. It's Kamen Rider Dunno. It was made in 2007. Kind of this is one of the better ones. Kind of this is not. Because there are way too many characters, but most of the characters are not real people. They are the I don't remember what they're called. They aren't human, either way. And the point is, it's not that I dislike them, but like they're extremely stereotypically based. They are so chaotic. Like they are a massively chaotic mess. A total mess of chaotic loudness. It is really, I think even my sister, she absolutely loves this one. Potentially, one or both of us have seen this one at least 3 times. But I'm pretty sure she agrees with me where yes, the more often we watch it, especially when you get into the movies, but even in the original show, on one hand, you don't mind too much and it's a thing and it's fine. On the other hand, I think that's one opinion that changed a little bit. I'm like, maybe it's just because I'm getting older and I'm getting tired and I don't like the noise as much. I don't know, but I'm watching now and I'm like, you guys are so exhausting. Would you please just shut up? And that train master guy is a little bit creepy and weird. A little too creepy and weird. But this is one of the ones that Takeru, he is one of my absolute favorite actors ever. And you see this actor playing all these different characters in Dunno, and you're like, he's a good actor. He's a really good actor. But one of my favorite characters in this one is Ryu, actually. And I loved how he is just so powerful. He just does what he wants. But at the same time, it's kind of funny how he's like a kid. He's like the most childish through the whole thing. But there's a whole thing going on with him. It's a little disappointing. This is one of those ones where like it's kind of annoying when a character is introduced. This comes into play later. There's one of the others where it's actual one of the Kamen Riders. And they have a reason for it and it makes sense. So it's not like I'm super mad, but at the same time I kind of am. Cause like Ryu is like super strong. He is the strongest. Like nobody can control him. The further you go, the more you realize that literally nobody can control him. He's so strong. He just does what he wants. End of story. You can't control him. You can't change his mind unless he decides he wants to change his mind. And this causes major problems within the show. But it also is like, it's a thing. But then all of a sudden it's not a thing. Because all of a sudden he's not that strong. And all of a sudden he is weaker. And I don't know. I can't remember exactly how it turned around. So I don't remember how good of a reason it was. But anyway, I really liked this one. And like the secondary guy, like I said, he played in Hibiki as well. His whole backstory. Oh my goodness. His whole backstory. And I'm telling you, there is one scene in this drama. If I just kind of see it, like pictures from it, or something like that, or like the sound is muted or whatever, it's like, that was a sad scene. Yeah. But even when I know it's coming, and even when I do that, I'm telling you, when I actually watch it, and this scene comes up, every time, I am not making this up, I'm not controlling myself, it's out of my control, I can't help it, every time I cry. I cry when this scene comes up. It is so emotional. They did it perfection. I cry. The scene is so sad. Oh my gosh. The like backstory when you really find out what's going on and all the rest of this stuff. This one, oh, if only they weren't such a chaotic mess with the others. Like, oh my gosh, you guys, stop. Because there's so many other things about this one that are so good. So, yes, of all the Kamen Riders, this is one of the best ones in terms of that. Like, some of the characters, and like, I'm telling you, the second Kamen Rider and everything that he is going through and the whole truth of his whole story is like, oh, yeah. And who else he's connected to, and how, and why, and all the rest of this stuff. Oh my word. Oh my word. But at the same time, his, whatever they're called, I don't remember what they're called, but his guy, Deneb, I think his name is, he is really annoying. He's one of those characters, he's very similar to the gorilla in Go Buster, that's just constantly apologizing for stuff and constantly whatever, and you're like, stop, dude, go away, you are so exhausting, go away. For a different reason than the chaos. Anyway, Dunno was one of the really good ones. And then we're moving on to Kamen Rider Kiva. And I don't remember how many times I've seen this one. And this one is frustrating. That's the first word that comes to mind, is frustrating. Like, did I just say I don't remember how many times I've seen it? Because I don't remember how many times I've seen it. I don't remember if I actually watched it twice. I think I did. But at the same time, in a way, like, it's hard to describe what I think of this one, because this one is very much, there's everything that's happening in the past, and there's everything that's happening in the present. And those two, like, they keep skipping back and forth between the two. Constantly, throughout the entire drama, you're going back and forth between the two. And the one Kamen Rider guy in the past, like, there's so much of everything that happens with him that is so unfair. He is so insanely, what is the word? Everybody is like, they treat him so badly. It's not even, like, there's nothing cool about it. It makes me so mad how everybody treats him. It's insane. Some of it he brings on himself, because he is kind of like a very, dude, grow up. Although I don't remember actually how old. Good question. How old is his character actually supposed to be back then? I think all of them are actually supposed to be younger than you think they're supposed to be from their looks. But I could be wrong about that. But his character back then seriously needs to grow up. But at the same time, he's got so much more value, and he is so much stronger and so much more amazing than he ever gets credit for. Like, ever. So that's frustrating. And even in the present, like, Kiva, like, there's so much about this one. And, like, that stupid queen that comes into it. And Kiva is so stupid about her. So irritating. I hate that part. I just remembered there's something to do with that. So there's parts about this one that were really well done and really good. And there's other parts that were just, like I say, the very first word that comes to mind and is the strongest one I can think of is frustrating. The entire thing. Frustrating. Because it gets kind of messed up. In the past and in the present. So many things about it. You're just like, but from what I remember, it was pretty good in terms of, like, well done as well. And so, you'll watch and decide for yourself. The next one on the list is Kamen Rider Decade. And this one's frustrating for a different reason. The main reason this one, Decade. Decade? This was 2009, but I believe this was the one that was like, it was one of the specials. It was made especially because this is the one. I started to say something in Super Sentai, and then I'm like, no, wait, that was Kamen Rider. Super Sentai had one that was an anniversary special, I think. I don't remember anyone specifying that they were an anniversary special. But there was Gokaiger, that was an anniversary special. With the Kamen Riders, there's Decade and there's Zio. These are the two anniversary special Kamen Riders. And what they did in Decade, I don't know how I forgot Decade was one of the anniversary specials. What they did in Decade is that his character, the Kamen Rider Decade, he is one of my favorite actors too. In a way, it's weird. Don't get me sidetracked. He's not a huge ultimate all-time favorite, but I do like his acting. He's a good actor. And his characters are like, they've always got a twist. His characters always have a twist. So does Decade. Decade has a twist. He's a Kamen Rider that has amnesia. He doesn't remember where he comes from. But there's like all these different parallel worlds. And the thing with Decade is, one of the secondary characters in this one is Kuuga. Supposedly. Because I'm telling you, he goes to parallel worlds and goes through all the different Kamen Rider worlds up to this point. And they use completely different actors. In every one of the stories, there's actually something slightly different about it. None of the stories match up with the actual original stories. Not one of them, from what I remember. Every single one of them is different. Some of them way more different, and some of them not as different. And in a way, that's okay and good and fine, especially because they do not have the same actors playing them. And like I say with Kuuga, Kuuga's the secondary character in this one, but he's like nothing like the original Kuuga. Nothing like him. I'm like, this Kuuga's okay, but you can't compare them. They're nothing alike. And this is the thing with all the worlds. I kind of wish they had stuck closer to the original stories when they go to the worlds, because that actually would have been really cool. It would have been like the crossover movies where you get to see the new person with the original characters. Like what happens in Zio. Just wait for that. But that was a spoiler for you. Decade, they changed all the stories. And on one hand, it's fine because in a way you don't want them to try to stick closer to the original stories because you have a feeling they just wouldn't have been able to do it no matter how hard they tried. Partially because they don't have those actors back again. I think maybe they did have some of the original actors come back again. I think some of the worlds, maybe they did have the original actors. I can't remember for sure. It's been a while since I've watched Decade. I've seen it at least twice. But they changed a lot of the stories, and in a big way, it's extremely disappointing because some of the changes were really dumb and really annoying, in my opinion. And they took if you try to compare them to the original story, it was potentially almost to the level of the Power Rangers versus Super Sentais. Ooh, cringe to say that, but it potentially that bad. And like when my younger sister watched this, she had not seen most of the ones that came before this. When I watched it, I had seen most of the ones that came before it. So the impact on me was a little different than the impact on her because she had nothing to compare and I did. So I liked Kuuga in Decade, for instance, but at the same time I'm like, just put the real Kuuga out of my mind, like the original Kuuga out of my mind, because you can't compare them. And that's the same with all of the worlds. You can't compare them. Decade's worlds are just so different from the original world. And if you try to compare them, you get really irritated. But I really liked Decade himself. And like the secondary Kamen Rider from this one, the original, like because Kuuga is a copy of the original. The two new Kamen Riders are Decade and I can't remember the name of the other guy. But their whole story and everything going on there, it takes a while to explain that. And you're like, yee. The other most annoying thing about Decade is that it doesn't have an ending. Somehow, they just leave this story completely hanging on you. And I can't remember if it had something to do with, like, there was supposed to be a wrap-up, but for some reason, like, I've never heard of a Kamen Rider getting cancelled. But it almost feels like there was something about Decade where, I don't know, maybe I should look it up and put it on the screen. Either that or you're going to go look it up yourself. Because something happened and the ending didn't get done. So it is literally left hanging. You don't have an ending for Decade. There are two movies. These are the two movies that I'm going to mention. Oh, shoot. I have to record this and like clip it from earlier because I forgot to say something about dunno. In my other video, when I was talking about the overall mentioning about dunno, I mentioned that there was at least one movie that you do have to watch in the middle of dunno. There's potentially two, but there's at least one. It's called I'm Born. You have to go and find that movie and watch it. You'll know when. Because if you're watching dunno, there comes a certain point where all of a sudden, I can't believe I can't remember his name. The secondary Kamen Rider is just coming out of nowhere and grabbing the first guy. I can't remember either of their names. This is really bad. He keeps popping up out of nowhere and grabbing him, and you're like, what on earth is going on? He just says, like, explanation later and all this stuff, and you're just so confused. And then the very next episode, nothing. Absolutely nothing. You get nothing. You're just left, like, that's because a movie goes in between there. It's called I'm Born, and that movie explains what on earth was going on there. So you have to go watch that movie, otherwise you're just going to be left, forever. So there's at least the one there called I'm Born that you got to go and watch in the middle of that. Okay, now back to Decade. What was I trying to say? The two movies. Both of them, it's like alternate ideas for how Decade can end. But the problem is, like, alternate, like, there's either this one, you go from Decade to this one, and that's a potential how the story is ending, or you go from Decade and you go with this one, and that's potentially how it's ending. So they're like alternate ideas for an ending for Decade. The problem is, neither of them end either. Both of the movies also leave you hanging on the end of Decade. So ultimately, even including the movies, which give you just a little bit more than the original show did, the whole thing is still left hanging. You don't know how it ends. They sort of made up for this when you get to Zeo. We'll get back to Zeo when we get to Zeo. Okay. The next Kamen Rider is Double. This one, I don't think my opinion changed when I watched this one. I think this is one of the ones that every time I watch it, I still pretty much have the same opinion. I love Double. It is one of my absolute favorite because the main guy, Ren, the actor's name is Ren. What is the character's name? I don't remember the character's name. I don't remember his name. I love that guy. And the other guy, Philip, I love Philip too. He's like an eccentric little weirdo, but I love Philip. And the girl too. I really liked the girl as well. And then the secondary character, Axel, the secondary Kamen Rider, I didn't like him as much. He was a little weird. He got better the further he went, but it's like he's one of those ones at the beginning that's just like not emotional, not whatever. He's very strict and very business-like and whatever, and it makes him kind of annoying at first. I think he gets better as it goes. And Double, definitely. There's a big family aspect of Double because, like, the bad guys, it is a big family, and then you find out plot twist and all the rest of this kind of stuff coming along throughout the drama that's like... And then, of course, there's some completely stupid, unrealistic stuff that kind of borders on, like, total religion. But, at the same time, Double! Getting closer to the end! And a major family aspect of it. So, like, Double was one of the better done ones. It is very episodic, but it's weird how it's like, it's all double episodes. There's 2 episodes at a time. Every story covers 2 episodes. And as it goes, there's also the string of a story that's going all the way through it, pulling it all together. So, Double was definitely one of the best ones in my opinion. I need to go back and rewatch it. Philip, he's so cute. And then there's Kamen Rider O's. Oh. This one, definitively, the first time I watched it, I loved it. The second time I watched it, I hated it. And it's all the main character's fault. Because when I watched Double, like, I think his name is Agito. How dare you? For one thing, the bad guy is messed up. He's so annoying. I don't remember if he's actually called the bad guy through the whole thing, or am I just calling him the bad guy because I hated him so much? It's like, shut up, dude. Shut up. Get out of here. Go away. Shut up. You were so messed up. Go away. The secondary Kamen Rider guy, I liked him. Or should I call him the third dairy? Because there's kind of 3. And the one guy, the guy with the canister guy, was really annoying. I'm like, you jerk, like, get out of here. You're so annoying. Okay, now I'm scattered all over the place. The reason that I liked O's at first and the reason I hated it are kind of basically the same reason. Because, and now I can't remember his name. So, do you believe me that he was my favorite character or not? I can't remember his name. Ankh. His name is Ankh. It is not fair what happens with him. He's a bad guy, but at the same time, he is not a bad guy. Let's just take as an example the girl. It is her brother that Ankh took over the body of, okay? So, from the very beginning, it's perfectly 100% understandable that she doesn't like Ankh. She wants Ankh to go away because she wants her brother back. But of course, Ankh is threatening with the fact that if he leaves, her brother's just going to die because he's not strong enough to stay alive, because Ankh is the thing that's keeping him alive right now, because he was injured so badly when Ankh took over the body. So it's completely understandable that she's going to feel like that. On Eiji's part, I suppose, on a justice level of whatever with the world and all that stuff, there's a bit of an understanding there where it's just not right that Ankh is just taking this body when it doesn't belong to him and doing whatever he wants to with it when it's not his body. But the thing is, the way Oz presents this, the sister, she, as it goes, Ankh grows on her. She starts to actually care about Ankh. She wants him to be okay as well as her brother to be okay. Not only does she see her brother anymore, by the end of the drama, she sees Ankh and she cares about him. The drama presents it like Eiji and Ankh are growing close to each other and becoming friends. They are partners. They are working together in order to take down the bad guys. And on top of that, it makes it look like they are actually becoming friends. And then it turns out that's not true in the slightest bit. Eiji is actually still just using Ankh. He does not care about Ankh. He only wants the power. He only wants his own self-centered goals to be accomplished, and he does not care about Ankh. And this makes me furious, because it still acts like he cares so much about Ankh and their actual friends, and then he completely backstabs Ankh, and like everything he does, he just becomes greedier and greedier for his own whatever. It's like they switch places. Ankh is supposed to be a bad guy because he's the one that's literally a greed. And like, he doesn't have a real heart and whatever because he's just greed and all this stuff. And then it's like, turning into Eiji is the one that's being nothing but a greedy whatever, and Ankh is the one that's actually more human. And maybe the show was doing that on purpose. It just occurred to me when I'm describing it that way. Maybe they're doing it on purpose, considering Ankh is in a human body, so he's learning how to be a human, and Eiji has the whole purple coins inside of him, which is a bit of a spoiler, so I won't say more than that. So he's turning into more of a greed. Maybe you could say that was happening. Maybe they were actually becoming sort of partners. Kind of like, you know, this thing where it's like they were apart. And just stop that. I'm trying to use an example. It's like they were not seeing eye to eye and they weren't at all. And then it's like, oh, they were aligned, but only briefly because they flipped back like that again. I don't know. I need to watch it a third time to see if I can coincide and like line up these two opinions. Because when I first watched it, I loved it. When I second watched it, I hated it. It is so wrong what happens with Ankh. And, massive major spoiler here, there are not very many Kamen Riders and Super Sentais where a character actually dies. But in O's, yes, someone dies. And it's not fair. And it makes it even worse and more insulting. Even more of a spoiler here. If you ever look up any movie that involves O's, every single one of those movies, Ankh comes back and then dies again. Would you stop teasing me with the fact that he's back if you were just going to kill him again? I'm so mad. I'm so mad. So mad. 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 So mad. Moving right along from that one to Kamen Rider Fourze, which came out in 2012. And as I said somewhere, maybe earlier in this video, maybe in a different video, I don't remember, so I'll just kind of say it again here. Fourze is the one that somehow I had a program or something where I could watch live Japanese TV, I think. And that's how I saw Fourze as it was coming out. Part of it. I saw at least part of it while it was coming out. So actually the first time that I actually technically watched it, I saw it without subtitles. And yes, I do know enough of Japanese that I was keeping up with it enough, but I still missed stuff. So of course, as soon as subtitles became available, I watched it with subtitles. So I watched it basically, at least part of it, I watched basically back to back, almost overlapping twice, because without subs and with subs. But Fourze, I have mixed feelings on. Because part of Fourze is just kind of dumb. Like his whole team, it's another one. This is basically a Sentai. Because every one of the characters, he ends up with a huge support team. There's only 2 Kamen Riders, but there's a huge support team. And they introduce these characters like they're so original and so unique and so different. And the whole story of them joining the team is so unique and different. And it sets it up like, wow, this is a really strong character cast. Nope. Most of them, the minute they actually calm down and join the team, they become so background. They are so unoriginal. They are so blended together. They all kind of had their role in a part of the team, and it was like good. I want to say necessary, but at the same time, it's not really necessary for most of them to be there. Either way, I have many opinions. I have such mixed opinions on this one because it was also kind of very episodic, and like. The things they did really, 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 really well, they did really, 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 really well in this one. And the things they did really badly, they did really, really badly. Meteor is one of my top favorite characters. He's epic. He's hilarious. He is one of those epitome of, you see this, and then you see this. He's got an inside voice that for most of the drama, he is very, very careful not to let out to anybody but the audience. Because his inside voice is like, dude, me too, dude, me too. We have the same inside voice right now. But then there's also one of the things they do in this one. I mean, I don't remember his name. This character is like, wow, the character growth of that character. Everything he goes through and the growth of it. Oh my gosh, when I say this, what this drama does right, it does really, really right. That's what I'm talking about. Oh wow. And then Meteor himself. They did him really right and also really wrong. Because to me, like, it takes it to a point, this is a massive spoiler. Meteor is the only Kamen Rider I can think of that was a good guy all the way through, and then because of what he was pushed into, the corner he was pushed into, he actually went so far as to kill somebody. Thankfully, it was one of those things where, like, you know, if someone can die for 5 minutes, but you can bring them back to life, thankfully that's basically what it is that happened. Because it went that far. And my issue is, the one thing that they did really bad with this is that I think they got over it a little too fast. It went to that point. And like the characters are saying, well, if the guy he killed is willing to forgive him for it, I guess we better too. But at the same time, it was a little more than that. There was just something about the makeup scene and something about the comeback and forgiveness of, like, the way it happened. There's just something about it where I'm like, I feel like you were literally sweeping this to the side because you finally got to this point and yay, now we can get to this point. So, like, all of this in between that was supposed to bridge it, you just kind of, like, jumped over the gap instead of actually building a bridge. They cheated. Somehow they cheated, and that kind of took something away from the depth of the value that it could have had. It wasn't quite as good as it could have been because they cheated. But what they did bad, they did really bad. And what they did really, really good, they did really, 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 really good in Fourze. Yes, I'm going to ramble a whole lot more about these ones because these ones, like I said, there's more about the Kamen Riders that I can say. And, like, it could take me quite a while to talk about them because I remember so much more and I can say so much more. And it's not going to finish. It's not going to stop because, like, all the rest of these, I have so much more I can say. The next one is Kamen Rider Wizard that was in 2013. And this is another one that went straight from one to the other. When I first watched it, I really did not like it. The main character guy, I basically hated him. To me, he was so arrogant and so, like, dude... and almost kind of gross. Like, I mean, I still have a little bit of a problem, like, with that. Where when he transforms, he has to put his hand on his belt. And there's something about the way, the angle, and the way he puts it on there that's just... I don't think my mind is a dirty mind. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I should shut up so that you don't accidentally see that and now can't unsee it. But there's something slightly awkward about the way he does that. And I still feel like it's a little awkward. But when I first watched it, I didn't like him. I saw him as nothing but arrogant. He was just so irritating. I'm like, you are practically as bad as Kabuto. Like, get out. But then the second time I watched it, I'm like, I'm not entirely sure why I think that. Because I think I still see shades. So I kind of understand where I got that from. But at the same time, he's actually not arrogant practically at all. So I'm not sure why I thought he was all that arrogant. I'm not sure. Again, I need to watch this one for a third time so I can see if I can meld these two and figure out what the big difference was here. Why did it flip so drastically in my head? I'm not sure. But now when I see Wizard, I'm like, in a way, actually, he's one of my favorite Kamen Riders. The second time, the first time I watched it, he was way down there on the bottom. He was one of the worst. The second time I watched it, he's way up there near the top. He's one of my favorites. And I'm like, why? I don't understand. I don't remember a whole lot else about it except there was something about, like, the ending and stuff, I think, where it got a little bit weird. All of a sudden it got a little too big or something. Like, all of a sudden there was all these other characters jumping in there. And it also is, it's kind of a little unfair. It's like the only people that can do this is if they have this, and the only way he can save them is if he takes that away from them. It kind of sucks. Because it's like you go through that, and then you're like pretty much a nobody, and you're always going to be a nobody, and it's him that destroyed that. But at the same time, he saved your life by destroying it. So it's like... And then they kind of follow him around. Those two are both kind of really irritating. It's like, on one hand, I get it because, like, they feel so unjustly done by. Like, it's not fair that they lost that. But at the same time, because they did, what else can they do but follow him and live vicariously through him? And that's what it feels like they're doing. It feels like everybody just lives vicariously through him because now they can't be that. So the only way is to pretend like they, like, you know, live vicariously through him. And I'm like, go away. Get a life. But I understand it. So it's not like I hate them, but I'm like, you are kind of annoying. So that's as much as I can remember about Wizard. And then the next one in the line would actually be Gaim from 2014, but that's the one that I did not watch. And I don't remember where I said it, so I'll kind of say it again. I did not watch Gaim because my best friend watched it, and she was explaining something about the ending. I mean, already, I think I watched 1 or 2 episodes, and that was basically it, because there's so many characters, and I'm like, this is supposed to be a Kamen Rider, not a Super Sentai. Why are there, like, 3 million characters? This is super irritating. It's supposed to be a Kamen Rider, not a Super Sentai. This is the biggest difference between the two. It used to be the biggest difference between the two. But in Gaim, there's, like, 3 million characters, and I was already kind of like, what? And I was like, I had to see it. And then my best friend told me stuff about the ending, and I'm like, and I've literally never been interested in it since. I feel like I'm supposed to watch it because literally, as you see, from 2000 all the way up until 2021, I have seen every single Kamen Rider except 2. Gaim is one of them. I totally forgot there's another one that I hadn't seen. Haven't seen Gaim. 2015 Kamen Rider Drive. Okay. How do I explain this? This one I saw twice, and I think my opinion shifted slightly because the first time I saw it, maybe it's just because I didn't know, so I didn't go, wait a minute, until the end of it. But the problem is, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So I'll give you a fair warning ahead of time. Or is this a spoiler you don't want because it'll ruin the whole thing? It is a massive spoiler. And it's also a censored word. Drive, I'm mixed on. Because when I first watched it, I liked Drive himself. The second time I watched it, I didn't like him so much. And I don't remember what's going on there. And I don't remember who the secondary writer is. Aside from Chase. Another name I remember. I liked Chase. Oh my gosh. This is so wrong. Massive spoilers. Chase dies. And it's not fair. I am so mad that they killed him. And in there, they did it again. This is another one where there was a movie that was all about Chase. And the way they were treating him, oh my gosh, like laughing at him when he's trying to figure stuff out because he wants to be more human. And they're like brushing him off and laughing at him and mocking him and whatever. I'm like, I hate you all right now. I was so mad at them in that movie. And then I'm pretty sure it was that one. It's another one like Ankh, where you're not just killing him once. Anytime he shows up in a movie, you bring him back and then kill him again. I'm like, would you stop it? This is making me so upset and angry. But the other major spoiler about Drive is once you actually watch the entire thing and you realize what's actually happening between Drive and the bad guys that he's destroying, this is basically, you think about it, it's literally, and this is a censored word, so I'm going to say it funny and you figure out what I'm talking about. Gen Zero side. That is pretty much what's happening in Drive. And by the time, I don't remember why. I don't remember if this was entirely 100% an accident or if there is actually a character in this drama who basically knew that this is what they were doing, but just didn't tell Drive that. Because, and I have to use the word Drive because I don't remember his name. The character that is Kamen Rider Drive, he finally realizes this basically at the end when it's too late to stop. That's basically when he realizes that this is what's happening and he can't stop by this point, and that's the end of it. It was all based on a misunderstanding, a total wrong. That is not even what was happening. It's terrible. It is truly terrible. You're like, wait, what? When you realize that that is literally what is happening in this drama. Okay, and now moving on to Kamen Rider Ghost. Another one that I had a flip opinion of. Kind of. Basically, it was about the main character guy who, why is the name Takumi coming back to me again? Takeru. Maybe his name is Takeru. His T something. Anyway, Kamen Rider Ghost. It's not fair. I really like Kamen Rider Ghost. The other character. His whole story. I don't remember his name. This is really dumb. Alan. Alan's whole story. Oh my gosh. When you find out what's going on. And his whole turnaround, like, he is so well done. His character arc is so well done. This is how you turn a bad guy into a good guy. There is no all of a sudden unjustified turnaround. Every step of the way you can see it. You can see it. And it's justifiable and it makes sense. As he slowly starts getting broken away from what he has grown up believing and starts realizing that he's wrong and why he's wrong and what is actually going on, and the shock on his face as he learns some of the truths that he didn't know were a thing, because even he was lied to for most of his life about some stuff. He had no idea that he was being lied to. And as he even finds this out, the shock for him. And the realisticness of how long it takes him to realize some of this stuff and to learn some of this stuff and like whatever. He's another character, like he goes from being so strong he's almost unbeatable to being the absolute wimpiest wimp that like everybody like barely steps on and he's done for and he can't do anything more. That makes me really mad because he turned into a follower that just like worships the Kamen Rider Ghost, and it's really irritating. I'm telling you, it is super irritating because Ghost does not deserve that. But at the same time, the fact that he goes from so strong to so weak does make sense because of what put him there. Because that's part of the whoa. Oh, that was so well done. But then my biggest problem with Ghost, because I really liked Ghost otherwise, like most of it, I really liked Ghost. The biggest thing that I did not like was the character spotlighting, because Ghost himself gets way too much credit for way too many things that he should not have gotten credit for. Either one, because he should not have done it, but he did it anyway. It doesn't make sense that it was him that did it. Somebody else should have done that, not him. And oh my gosh, is he ever preachy? There are definite times when he just literally starts preaching. And I'm like, would you shut up, dude? Like, just stop. You're getting so annoying right now. Either he doesn't really know, or he doesn't have a right. And he, like, I think there's times, I'm pretty sure it was him, where there was literally times when it's like, he acts like it's okay, whatever decision you make, it's your decision, you have a right to make this decision. But at the same time, what he's really saying is, this is my opinion, and if you don't go with it, you will fail, because I will make sure that you fail, because my opinion is the one that has to be the winner. Things must be done my way, and if they aren't, too bad for you, because he says that your way matters and will do it your way if that's the way you want to do it because it's your life, but that's not really how he acts. His actions and everything prove otherwise. His way is the only way. And I'm like, and I don't think he's as bad in the movies or something, because when I see him in the movies and stuff, I'm happy. When I see him show up elsewhere, I'm happy. And I'm like, I don't understand how there can be so many places in the drama where I was like mad at him. I'm like, dude, like shut up and get off your soapbox and get out of here. This is none of your business. You don't have a right to be doing this. Like, who made you king? Absolutely nobody. Back off. And there was the time, like there was a scene, I think it was Alan, in the scene where something is happening, and I'm like, what's happening between Alan and this person? Makes 100% sense. And I want that to be the focus right now. But because Ghost is the main character, we have to switch over and watch him crying. And I'm like, this doesn't work. It feels so fake. It feels so put on. It feels, I don't know what the right word is, but it's kind of like a humble brag where somebody's pretending to be humble and what they're actually doing is bragging. I'm like, it looks so fake. That doesn't even feel real. There's nothing about that that feels real. Like, why did you have to focus on him? Just because he's the main character? Like, go away. This is not your spotlight. Get out. It was really annoying. And that was my opinion of Ghost. I really, really liked it, but at the same time, those aspects of his character, it was just really annoying. And then moving on to Kamen Rider X-Aid. Don't ramble, it'll make it even longer. 2017 was when Kamen Rider X-Aid came out, and this is definitively one of my absolute top favorite Kamen Riders. I absolutely love X-Aid, and I'm not even sure why. At the moment, I can't really think of anything that I really hated in X-Aid. There has to be things I didn't like, or just things that didn't interest me, because there always are in stories. But X-Aid was definitely one of the best ones. And one of the main reasons why it was one of the best ones was, I don't remember his name, but this guy. And everything that happened with him. And I still, to this day, have 2 pictures that I even literally have up on my wall. Not in this room, in another room. Because those scenes were some of the most epic scenes I've ever seen filmed. This scene here, everything that led up to that very moment, you're just like breathless watching that. Literally breathless watching it. It was so good. You're just like breathless. Like, I loved it. Okay, I loved X-Aid. It was so good. I'm positive there were things I didn't like about it. Why do I feel like there's definitive things that I'm like, oh yeah, there was that. I don't know. But there was actually more than once. What was it? There was something about the bad guy, I think. There was a scene about the bad guy where I was just like, they don't usually show that / do that. What they did and how they did it, I was like, whoa, wait, is this really happening right now? There was big moments in this one. There was big moments. That X8 is one of the best. One of the best. There was several Kamen Riders in it, so there was a lot of the fighting and stuff that I'm not interested in. But the story itself is one of the best. And it is also one of the weird ones. He's literally a doctor, and you kind of forget that because there's like one scene. I can't, every time I think of it, I just laugh so hard because it is just all of a sudden such a natural, normal, everyday, day-to life. This is totally what would happen. Scene. In the middle, you're like mind blown right now. You're watching these dramas, the Super Sentai and the Kamen Riders, where you're so used to them being like, especially the Kamen Riders. I don't know, there's something about it where you're so used to them being the superheroes. That's all you see them do. You don't see, you do, but at the same time, you don't. Where you don't, like, they almost aren't even human because they're just, this is all you see, is this time span of the day where they're active and where they're doing this. But there's like this one scene where he's turning out the lights because he's going home because he's done his shift at the hospital. So he's done his shift, so he's going home. And I'm like, oh my gosh. That's just so out of the blue, normal and everyday and relatable, but it's just like, what? He's turning out the lights so he can go home to bed. And you're like, wait, in the middle of all this action, these guys are actually going home and going to bed. What? I don't know why. It's funny, okay? It just is. And that's Exit. I absolutely love that one. And then 2018 is Build. And I loved Build as well. There was things about it that I definitively did not like. It is the first one, I think, that I can think of, where there's actually a war going on. Like, there's 3 countries, I think. And there's actually a war going on between them. And Build is one that, it's the main guy, where you're like, ah! When you find out the truth. When you find out the whole story and the truth and everything that makes him the way he is right now, you're like, ah! There's something about Build. Like, still, when I hear the theme song for it and stuff, I get super excited and happy. Build is a good one. The ending of it is a good thing. That it wasn't just one person. That there was actually 2. Oh my gosh, after all of that, if there had been only Build, my sister and I agreed we would have been so mad. But because he was not alone, it is a good thing he was not alone. And that maybe didn't make sense, but it is a major spoiler, so we'll leave it there. Build, there was things about it that I didn't like. I'm positive there was. I really need to watch it again. But Build was one of my favorites. For a reason. Entirely why, I don't remember why right now. I don't entirely remember why. But, like, it was really good. I loved both of the Kamen Riders. They were both such strong characters and so well done. And the whole thing was just so good. Believe me, I loved it. It was really good. You should watch it. And the next one is Kamen Rider Zeo. And all I can say about Kamen Rider Zeo, the original story of Kamen Rider Zeo, the original characters, I should say, the original story had really good potential. It had really good potential to be really interesting. The original characters, there's 3 that I can think of right now, maybe 4. Basically, all of them, I do not want to be mean to the actors or the actresses themselves, but seriously, biggest letdown I've ever seen. I didn't feel connected to anything of them. I didn't care about any of them. There were moments, the 2 actual guys, there were moments where I did, and like I cared about them, like I didn't want them to die or anything. So there was a glimmer of something there. Like, it's like there was a bunch of potential, but they were just done so badly. But the other aspect of Zeo. Zeo did what I wanted Decade to do. Decade made up their own stories. They took the original stories and they completely changed them. Totally, completely changed them. In Zeo, they went to the original characters. And they did not change anything. They were the original characters taken after their stories. Like I said with Blade. Blade. You have to watch Zio. You have to watch Zio. If you have seen Blade and the deplorably not fair, etc. upsetting ending that Blade has, watch Zio. Find the episodes in Zio and watch Zio. My sister had not seen most of them. So she's like, yay! 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 And I'm sitting there like jumping out of my chair. Yes! Oh my gosh! And I'm crying and I'm jumping out of my chair and I'm so excited. I'm so everything under the sun. Oh my gosh, they did all of that so well. The original characters, bringing them back, and the stories, they like the continuation of the whatever, like, oh, they did that right. They nailed that. They nailed it. It was good. That part of the story was so good. And Decade himself, and I do not remember his name, the two Kamen Riders from Decade, they are both throughout the entire story of Zio, and the part that they added and everything that they added to the story, all of that was so good. And that's why it's so extremely disappointing that the original characters and original story of Zio was not. I'm like, how? Is it just that you got so excited about them that you just, like, neglected to... Or it's like these guys are so big that these guys tried and just couldn't stand up to it because they were just... Why? Why did you do this so amazingly, epically nailed, and yet you fell so flat on this? How did that happen within the same drama? How? I don't understand. But that was my thoughts on Zio. And then there's the Kamen Rider 01, which I only mentioned because it is the next Kamen Rider, but I have not seen it and I have no interest in seeing it. Maybe potentially purely because I am just sick and tired of AI. Like, all through all of the Super Sentais and Kamen Riders, they're constantly doing this, where there are characters that are like robots. They literally are robots. In a whole lot of them, they're actually aliens. Alien is not the same thing as a robot. A robot is not alive, and yet in so many of them they're constantly representing, they're constantly presenting the robots like they are alive. Yeah, from what I remember of 01, and I kind of skimmed over an explanation of it because I couldn't remember for sure, why was it that I was like, nope, nope, no interest. That's it, because the characters are AI people, and AI people, there you go, they're AI people. They're supposed to be people. These things are like the same thing as humans, and we should treat them like humans. When they're AI robots, I'm like, no. That is a huge, fat, big, fat 000 no. Not 01, 0 no. Absolutely not. I am not interested. I don't like it. For so many reasons. And it's potentially, like, even worse and an even bigger of a no right now because AI is literally in the middle of taking over everything right now, and I'm so sick of it. So I'm like, no, I don't want to watch 01. And then the very last one that I can mention is Kamen Rider Saber, which is 2021, because that is the very last Kamen Rider that I ever watched. And everything since then, like most of them, I have no idea what they're even about. I think the one that's after Saber, I think it was either the one that was right after Saber or the one that was right after that, where I kind of got an idea of something maybe, and I'm just like, no thanks. And or it was my best friend that told me, and I'm like, seriously, no thanks. So Kamen Rider Saber, I am going to put in the clip of what I said in my wrap-up video here, so you can see what my opinion was of it. Somewhere not very far into it at all, it just fell off its chair and stayed laying on the floor. And here's the clip of that.
Kamen Rider Saber. It's a Japanese drama, and I know I am disappointed in that one. See, there was so much potential in that one. So much potential. Apart from the spiritual beliefs that are in that one that are just, nope, 100% don't agree with them. Put that aside. The story and the characters of Kamen Rider Saber, it has so much potential. And I know exactly why it fell flat, because they started filming it at the same time as the whole thing that nobody likes to talk about that started in 2020. That one had to be filmed differently. You can tell. I think I looked it up and saw, but I don't know. You can tell from the drama itself, the way the drama ended up being. This was supposed to be what it was like, but because of 2020 happening, it ended up being like this, especially like partway through the drama. There was like this switch over, and it fell so flat, and it was so intensely disappointing. They had so many characters. For one thing, I think they had too many characters, but in the end, 90% of the characters ended up being super useless and stupid. And in the end, you can tell it's because they had so many actors, and 2022 happened, and they had to try to be safe while filming the drama and everything, and all of a sudden they couldn't film it the way they meant to or intended to or whatever. And technically, really, what they should have done was put that whole story aside and done something else that was easier to handle and easier to do correctly during 2022 and come back to that one later. But I guess they didn't have anything else and they couldn't, so they kept doing this one. And unfortunately, what ended up happening was that it absolutely flopped like crazy, and it was so disappointing and bitter disappointment over that one. Like, I ended up not liking it at all. I have, like, of all the Kamen Riders, that's probably the worst one I've seen.
And then, yeah, that is my brief, quick, as fast as I can tell you, opinion of all the different Kamen Riders from the year 2000 to the year 2021. Let's put up a nice little recap list here of my absolute favorites, kind of going down to the ones that I either don't remember or ones that I do not remember fondly. We'll put it that way. So, I hope I made you interested in at least some of those. See if you can find them and if you can watch them, because they are worth it. There are some of them that are just so good. I need to go and watch them for a third or else a fourth time. There are so many of them that were so good. Even the ones that I didn't like had stuff in them that was well done and positive. So, stopping there so I'm not like, rambling on and on and on and on. So many good Kamen Riders. So many reasons why. So, I hope you found that interesting. If you have seen any of them, let me know which ones were your favorites and why. Who are your ultimate favorite characters all across the board? I'm going to have to remind myself who characters are so I can remind myself who across the board was my absolute ultimate favorites, because I only mentioned, was it 2 of them that I actually managed to mention and tell you that are definitively top across the board? Tsugumi from Faiz. Oh my gosh, I love that guy. Anyway, leave a comment and or a like to let me know what you thought of it. Bye, and thanks for watching.